Hey.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I guess
Yeah. Well, hey, that I marked up.
Sorry, I never got back to you about the roof thing. That guy says he doesn't have roofs.
Well, I would have never even
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay.
We still have inner house stuff. All sorts of.
Yeah, well, it's real ones. It seems to not be interesting.
No. Anyway.
I know, right? My neighbor's getting the license.
I don't try to tell you.
I
didn't read that.
Yeah, there you go. I got the back there, so I got the bottom up.
But not just I read that right there.
Yeah, it's more convenient.
said it quietly.
All right, it's 7:04. We'll go ahead and start the meeting. We're City Council
Recording in
chambers.
progress.
Thank you. Where's my, oh, there we go.
There it is.
All right, Yvonne, can you call roll?
Yes. George.
Here.
Acuff.
Here.
Buckles.
Here.
McElroy.
Here.
Hebert.
Here.
Houston.
Present.
Hodges. She out there now?
Is she there yet?
She's probably not quite there.
Okay, well, she is planning to. Okay, so we have first up, public comment period. I've got two here, so I'll go ahead and read the rules. Public comment portion of the agenda is the opportunity for the council to listen to the public, but not for dialogue. Public is allowed up to 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city. The topic issue brought up may be referred by the council to the city manager for inclusion on the subsequent council agenda. Council has the discretion to ask questions after comments are concluded. Please note, complaints should first be addressed to the appropriate city department and/or city manager prior to directly addressing the council. All right, first up we have, is it, pronounce it Gerard or
Jared.
Jared? Okay, Jared Sherwood. There was, looks like J.A.
Yeah, it is Jay.
It is, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I did not ask the city manager this yet, so you have to bear with me. Me being relatively new to town, I'm not that familiar with a lot of things we do, but I had a question about something that came up at a recent chamber meeting. I understand there's two houses that the city of Sheridan owns that are slated for demolition. I was looking for, I'm used to seeing what local jurisdictional authorities call a demolition justification. And I couldn't find it on the city's website. I called the city today, extremely helpful, so kudos to whoever I talked to. Oh, did I talk to Mike?
Probably Marcy.
Oh, yeah, that's right, extremely helpful. And we couldn't find that there was any justification for this work. So my question is that something that is available to the public? I mean, I'm just used to seeing that from local jurisdictional authorities. So I guess my question is where would I find that? Because the two houses, I understand they are city assets, right? Okay. And so where would I be able to find the justification? That's all.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have, pretty sure it's Matt.
Yes, Matt.
Is it Matt?
Yes, Matt.
Okay. You didn't put your name on it, so I just assumed.
Alright. Well, I'll just do a spiel because I wrote it down this time, so just going by the cuffs with my pants. Hello, my name is Matthew Higley. I'm here as a small business owner. I'm trying to help with a small business owner here. I heard that Linda, now please get up and your name probably, Arbolero, and her pursuit of a purchase of the property, and think actually what you're kind of referring to is one of the small houses that are over there on Mill Street. to allow her to do some due diligence to make sure the property is viable for her business. If so, she would take ownership of that home. I see this as a complete win for the city. The city already had it on the market once and was trying to sell it. And now we have a person with a legit offer. Worst case, you were just, in the worst case, guys would just be delayed a month. Rather than, allow her to have that ability to have that review of that home, to see if it was viable, to see if she could actually use it as a business. Otherwise, best case, you actually have some money for the purchase of that property to actually get some money for the city. You wouldn't have any expenditure to burn it, to deal with whatever the asbestos, whatever the negativity of that home is as to why you're burning, trying to get rid of it. I've actually been in real estate for quite a while now, so I know, there's probably some bad things about that house, why you guys haven't been able to utilize it. Probably electrical, some plumbing, some other things. I also know though, as a business owner, you're gonna probably come in, gut all that stuff. You're gonna try to take out the wiring, you're gonna take out the electrical, because it's an old home. You're just gonna do all that stuff. But what you're gonna look at is the foundation and the bones. You're gonna probably have to replace the roof, you already know that. You're gonna do those kind of things. So my assumption is, that's what her due diligence period of that 30 days is. So I'm hoping you guys will take her offer as a solid thing, let her have that chance. Again, worst case, you lost 30 days, best case though is the city makes the money. That's what I'm hoping you guys will take the time to review and let her have that chance to try to look at that property. That's it.
Thank you. All right, next item. We have no presentation. Next item is farm lease RFPs for review.
Are there any other comments? You might have more comment cards, or more people who want to make a comment, it sounds like.
Yeah, I only have two. Does anybody else want to make a few? Okay.
I would love to. Do I have to fill out a card here?
You can do it afterwards.
All right.
Go ahead and go on. And I get time it for 3 minutes.
Okay. Awesome. How much time?
3 minutes.
I'm gonna take that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about Sheridan. And I decided to stop by tonight because I heard that there was a meeting tonight, and I know a few people that are involved. And I'm a local business owner. I own the nursery on the highway. Y'all might be familiar, Tree Redemption Gardens. I really want to get involved with the city and the kids and the schools. I'm working with Faulkner Chapman. Mr. Delati is the principal there, and we're doing a kids garden program coming up. And I want to teach kids to grow their own food and get more healthy food in the cafeterias here. I've been to some other schools in the areas. I was just in Gaston, and their menu is amazing. And my kids do vegetarian stuff, and they got they got all 20 options each day. And I look at our menu here, and I just don't see the healthy options. I just want to get more fresh food, more variety, more gardens going. The community garden's great. I donated a lot of plants to that. I want to work with the high schooler. I was just at Chamber of Commerce, and there's a lady that wants to get some of the special needs kids to come out to the farm and do work in the ground and get their hands in the dirt and learn real skills. And I really want to help support that kind of things. And I have 6 acres of land there. However, I am willing to work whatever canvas and help the schools, help my place become a hub for kids to come learn, for adults to come learn, because a lot of adults don't know how to garden right now. And I'm just kind of feeling this a lot lately. I'm kind of fired up. I just had an event. We do community group events. We did music. We were planting trees together. So we do all sorts of events out there, but I really just want to get involved with the community more, whether it's planting fruit trees, whether it's berries in the park, native plants, herbs, educate kids and people, because Sheridan is totally coming back to life. I went to a city council meeting 6 months ago, and there's one person sitting in the back with me, and I see all of you here. So this is nice. And I go to Chamber of Commerce, and I just want to get involved. So I decided to say hi, and I'm willing to work with whatever processes and communities and organizations.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Lizzie.
So, I know that the community garden, a lot of people were leaving and or moving. And so I don't think they have a whole bunch of help down there right now.
And that might be a spearhead for you
Totally.
to get involved there, whether you have it for the school because it's more centrally in Sheridan. But then also what you might be able to do is put, professional information and then be able to promote your own business from the community garden,
That could be,
because they're gonna know who's helping them down there, providing the service. And if you want more, then visit my 6 acres out here,
okay.
get an ice cream cone, come see me, learn how to garden.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't know if they'll have more room in the community garden for next year because of the absence of some folks that were primarily running that.
I
It's
like-
already set up with the boxes and it's closed off, so.
Yeah, I like the second idea maybe about me having an information booth. And be like, here's some of the plants and information, and if you wanna learn more, come to the farm. However, for the kids, I think it might be better, we're gonna work with the kids to do it at school. So when they're there, they can walk in the backyard and pick fresh food. Because they can't go to the community garden every time, that's not realistic. But if I go there once a week, we can have a garden club that walks in the back, and they have tons of room there. And the high school has room, there's greenhouses, there's lots of community space for it. But this is kind of far away, it's kind of by the apartments.
I wasn't sure where you were wanting to have that at. I thought.
Well,
maybe
I
you
like the
wanted to
idea
walk your place.
of having like, hey, a local nursery supplied these plants, and here's some information on them. If you wanna learn more, come get involved, we're working with the community, we're working with kids in schools, it'd be a good little hub of information, and I would love that. Yeah, I would love to support, that's a good, yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. Y'all have a wonderful meeting, I gotta run.
You gotta do the little.
Oh, I gotta fill it out.
Isn't it, Dave?
Yes,
I'm gonna pass around one of my cards, you can get a hold of me.
thank you so much, Kayla, I appreciate it. I do wanna get involved with whoever is inspired in the community for that kind of stuff.
Did you tell them what you are outside of being a nurse? Dave,
I also work for the school
Oh,
district.
you do?
for the school district, that's.
So I've
that's
kind
big
of just
draw.
been doing my own thing on the farm there, but I like that. I want to get really involved with the high schoolers. They're perfect age to learn. So I appreciate that. And I have 3 kids too that go to Faulkner Chapman, to make a note. So I'm
Oh.
also invested with my own children.
That's great.
I'm on the PTO as well. I'm the only guy on the PTO.
Really?
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, all right. So, moving on, okay. Farm lease RFPs for review. Heidi and Kai, they recommend that we move forward with the North Orchard, property for RFPs, not the Lagoon, property, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if council has any other thoughts on that. Sounds like the Lagoon's kind of tough, the incline and such, but farm that and access. Kai, I think you and I talked about access and about if they could even really get equipment through there.
Yeah, the issue is that there's no way to access that piece of property without driving on the lagoons, on the dikes themselves, which are earthen dams.
How wide is the, I drove up there and, it's not that bad of a slope when you're coming from the Dairy Queen into town. There's a lot bigger slopes than that they're farming out there by Brower's farm.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the property itself.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the incline of the property.
No, the access to the property.
So between Highway 18 and the berm, it looks like there is, how wide is that area right there?
It varies.
Because I wanted to go take a look at it, but I didn't go there because I didn't have an escort. But I looked at it from the cemetery and driving up Highway 18. But it looked like from the cemetery that there's a buffer between the highway and the actual berm, that something could drive through there, because there's a strip that runs right in front of, just
There is a
north of
section,
the
but
berm.
there's also utilities in that strip.
I think in
Above
that area, I think there's only one access point, that's why, okay, towing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we.
Yeah,
you-
and that-
The area you're talking about, Lucy, you'd still have to drive on the dike to get there.
Oh, you
Into
would?
that area.
I didn't,
And then you'd have to.
yeah, I didn't drive in
Off
there
the
because
dike.
I.
And then we have manholes running through there. That's the city where the intake structure is on the corner of pond number 1. You can kind of see that structure towards the cemetery in the corner. That pipeline runs under there, and there's sampling stations along there, air valves. So that is not a good access point.
If you went through that gate though, then you would have to get on the earth and dams.
You have to,
So, and that gate opening isn't that wide, I don't think either.
It's our wide skate. I think, I don't know the size of tractor they would be, or implements they'd be taking through there, but that would be their best chance, but they would have to drive on the dikes to get there.
Well, I guess the main question is, does anybody really want that to be farmed?
Depends where you get from it. Could you not come from the cemetery's approach too?
They have to drive across our new asphalt parking lot.
I almost think
Oh,
it's kind of,
through private property?
Well, the cemetery's got a outbuilding down by their pond. And, but once again, I didn't go down there and snoop around because I was thinking about trying to grab you before this meeting, but I just didn't see that happening with everything that was going on. But is it, if the cemetery gave consent, could you approach that piece of property from where their outbuilding is, where their pond is? It's hard to do unless you're on the property when you're doing it, but it's kind of, I'm just asking questions.
I do know Kai did discuss, there is some sort of access from south side, but that's like a regular sized road, right? And it's not big enough.
Yeah, you'd have to cross, we'd have to enlarge the culvert crossings more than likely, and then you would have to cross the parking lot, which we just paved.
And I believe last year we discussed, it would be maybe farmed for like $2,000. And I'm not sure, I mean, if they're gonna have to drive on the dams or the dikes.
Well, I thought maybe if they went down, because wasn't the cemetery wanting to be part of the South Side Park by having people walk over that way? And I thought, well, if they were included in that, maybe if they had a wide enough entryway from down where their metal pole barns are, that would not interfere with the current South Side Park at all. You know, it's like, here, I'll do you a favor, you do me a favor, you let me in, and we'll make you part of this walkway for this quiet, peaceful, you know, like you were talking about, Heidi, the peaceful walk. Instead of thinking of it as a cemetery, think of it as a quiet time.
Does that sound feasible, Kai?
To the private property, I can't speak for the owner.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Danny?
So it's only $1,200 is what we're supposed to charge last year for the 8 acres.
Really? Okay.
150 acre, $1,200.
Okay. 100, okay. So that's, I don't know if that's worth it. Roxy?
And I don't think any of us want the need of that farm machinery driving over our new paved asphalt. I'll just tear it up.
Oh, at Southside?
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. I didn't even think of
No
that.
matter what.
And if you look on Mill Street, starting outside of town, downtown, there's a groove in our roads, and that is because farmers let's get flat tires sometimes. The operator of the tractor doesn't notice. So you put something like that on a dike,
Okay, well, Jim, are you?
I'm just looking at the actual leases, that's what I've been doing over here. I have no questions at this time.
Okay. Okay, Heidi?
We're just looking for a motion to go forward with putting that RFP, the sample draft that was out in your packets a couple meetings ago for the North Orchard Street. So the
Anybody have,
council can review them.
does anybody have a problem with just the orchard being an RFP? Do we want to review the language again? No?
It's the same language, there was
Same
no
language
language
as
change,
before,
Tyler
okay.
drafted the contract.
Nothing's
drafted the
different, okay.
contract.
Roxy?
So I could make a motion that the council put an RFP out for the North Orchard property to lease
I believe you could.
her contract.
Okay. All right, that's the first.
Second.
Second, okay. First and second, I haven't been paying attention to Liz, okay, she's not raising her hand. Ian, oh, so discussion, go ahead, Ian.
Who currently leases the property,
No,
the Orchard Street property?
No.
Who
I'm-
was the last person to lease it?
it's a good question. So I know last time we discussed the RFPs, I know the Lagoon didn't end up getting farmed, but did the Orchard end up getting farmed? Okay, and that was that Leppin that did the farming? Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so the last one was Leppin Farms. And we had 3 bids for that one?
Two.
Was it 2? 'Cause
Well, yeah,
lease that property to him for at the time?
Good question. Do we have, any of you got that?
That's 10 acres, so that was $1,500.
1,500
Math,
per year.
math ways over there.
Oh, yeah. I started on that a week ago.
But we can, you know, depending on the RFPs, we could get more. But that's what it was last time.
Thank you.
Jim?
The RFP just give that proposal, they bid, so we're talking about somebody's gonna bid it, we can't say right now $1,500, we just have to see
Right.
who bids what.
Yeah, we're just asking for proposals. If everybody gives us $1,000 and that's the best they can do, then that's, we can still, I guess we could say no, but, you know, it's basically, we're asking, okay, what will you pay us? I believe we can have a minimum listed. I don't know if that's practiced or not, but I don't think we've done that in the past, so.
That's the second question to go with that, okay?
Right.
Heidi, you said the taxes on that property, if it is being used, was almost at a break-even point, is that correct?
Remember how much the tax?
I think so, yeah, because as long as, because it flipped, as soon as we started leasing it, then we had to start paying taxes. So before, they basically were mowing it for us
Yeah.
and maintaining it, but we didn't have to pay taxes, and now we pay taxes because we're,
And that amount is close to $1,500?
it was, yeah, it was roughly a wash.
Thank you.
I do remember.
Denny, do you have?
So I went through all the revenue vouchers for last year, and I can't find where Mr. Lippin paid anything in rent. I found Bryant's. He paid $3,062.50. But there's, the other entry in that is $450 in January. And then there's no more. So
We called today and the check is in the mail.
pardon me,
We called today, the check is in the mail.
the check is in the mail after the fact. It was supposed to be 30 days after the lease was signed. I haven't even seen the lease.
Well, if they give us another one, I guess we'll have that option to, you know, okay. Okay, but any problems? Well, I guess we have a motion, but. Motion is
They
second, but-
renegotiated the date of when they were gonna pay with the city attorney.
Oh, did they? Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
so they're within their time.
Okay. Okay, so, first and second, any other discussion on the Orchard Street RFP? Want to put that out there? For somebody? Okay, all right, well, we'll go ahead and vote. I'm looking at Liz, make sure. Okay, all in favor? I don't know if she's gonna vote or not. Okay, I guess that counts. I wasn't looking at you guys. Was it unanimous or?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so, all right, it's unanimous then, okay. Okay, moving on. So. Got some notes on here. Yeah. Okay, so next is, Mill Street. I believe we're discussing asbestos abatement. But it sounds like we have a quote, right?
Yes,
Okay. How much was it?
4,800 is the one we've received so far. I think there's one more that they're working on, and the other two companies haven't supplied anything yet.
Okay, and that's all the siding, okay. Okay. Okay, did anybody, Ian, did you have your hand up?
What is the quote for if this is not the final bill?
It actually is the estimate
Oh, it's
for the removal of
estimate.
the siding.
From one company, right? Is that
Correct.
But you're getting two more, is that?
If I get 3, mine get none.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we've only had one response so far.
Okay. Well, I know that one, believe that company's done some for us in the past,
I believe so, yes.
so, okay. Okay, well, we can wait. What was that sound?
Somebody,
I don't know,
I think it's
somebody.
Charles.
Okay, yeah, can you? Yeah, Yvonne, can you, do that? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so, well, if we, go forward with the, demo and all that, we do have time. So we can, I don't know if we wanna wait for more, the asbestos stuff, or if we wanna, exactly what we wanna do.
The motion last time was for Kai and I to go forward with it.
Okay.
So I think we still have that direction from the council. We just wanted to give a feedback about how much it is.
So let's go forward with getting a bid, is that correct?
Go forward with doing it, is what I remember it to be. I see some head nods, so. We just wanted to give you a check-in point, tell you how much it was. We're looking at, okay?
Okay, I don't know, anything else on that? Morgan Street, we talked to, Chief Thomas, sounds like December, they're doing like a joint effort with students, and that's gonna be part of their, burn corner. And they're gonna do Morgan, and then depending on Mill, that would be later. So Morgan's first for that one. For the fire department. I think it was like late December. Do you remember, Heidi, was it mid or late December? I think it was late December.
I think, yeah, they had different things that they were doing.
Whatever-
with that group, but yeah.
Whatever the date is, we're gonna get it like nailed down and then talk to the neighbor, and, they don't wanna be home when it's getting burned. They requested we give them a hotel, so if that's still fine, we'll, get all that lined up. So they don't have to be home for that. Okay. Any questions on that one? Yeah.
So does that, when you say go forward on Mill, the 127, does that mean go forward just to get a couple more bids, or to burn it, or to consider the offer that was presented to the city?
That is just to go forward with, hopefully we get more asbestos bids, but it would be go forward, with, removing it. That's how they're, wording it, I guess. Is that, all right? Cause we're wanting more bids and then abatement.
Not get bids, but
Right.
I'll book them tomorrow.
Okay. Jim?
And we do still have a request out for bids, correct, so they can be getting in anytime. Thank you.
So I'm sorry again, that in regards to this offer that Linda was asking you to discuss, is that rejected, accepted, or what's going on? I mean, I'm specifically talking about
That.
the offer.
If the offer was not accepted.
Okay, so rejected.
Okay. Any other questions on Morgan? Okay. All right.
I was just.
Okay, pavement management, implementation and reporting. We talked, Kai had I guess it was Kai and Heidi had a, report from a company. And we discussed having other bids for being done, I believe.
Caps was who gave us the proposal.
That's what it was, okay. And then we discussed having Civil West look at it. They gave us a bid for it.
That was an estimate.
An estimate,
Okay,
okay.
an estimate, yeah.
Okay, so that was an estimate. So the question is, do we wanna go, I guess, with the previous company, we wanna go with Civil West, or do we wanna do an RFP? RFPs do cost the city some money, but we can, we might be able to see what other options we could get on there. It sounds like Civil West is a little bit different than the caps. It's also less money, so we're not, makes sense, we're not getting as much, but, did you have some more questions for Civil West? Were there some things you wanted to nail down, Kai?
No, I actually met with them last week and a little bit this morning, so they're working on that proposal for the city, so hopefully by next council.
Okay, so we have an estimate, but they're gonna submit a proposal for it.
Yeah, we pushed them to get it ready last week for this council meeting. We didn't get much notice.
Okay. Jim?
Okay, so last meeting we had an estimate from these taps, And now Civil West is working on a scope of work, and they're gonna give us an estimate or a bid, which one of those? That's what their bid.
It will be a bid.
It will be a bid, okay.
But right now, we have an estimate.
They have an estimate, it's roughly half of the caps.
Okay.
I believe they're technically quotes, because bids have to go out through our process.
It's estimate quotes,
So
an exchange hole for me.
right now, are there any more bids, have been requested, or is this?
This is it.
And that's what we're kind of trying to figure out, is like, do we want to do a request for proposals with basically, companies send us their bids?
And I do want to add that we had GRI 3 years ago, which is before Heidi started, and they gave us a nice proposal as well. I think cost council went another direction.
How do you go?
So just to also clarify, these will be two different kinds of projects. So I'm going to, I don't know if the council really has a full understanding of what a pavement study is. So I would like to have that feedback. If you would like me to go and find some videos or something for you to watch, or have a company come in and do a proposal or zoom in. Do you want more feedback? Like, where are we at? Is it just the price, or is there more to this that you need to understand?
Jim?
Help me to.
I'd like as much information as you can get us that doesn't cost the city any money.
Well, my time costs money, so
Yeah.
just using my time.
But that's already included in
Any
Okay.
extra money, but I will say, one thing I didn't think about, Jim, I know you and I talked about, like, it's a visual inspection of the roads, but something that can be done is basically boring down, because a lot of the things that happens with the roads where it fails is because it's underneath.
Sure.
And if they're not boring, I mean, they might not know what's under there, so that was probably more expensive, but if it's like, if we only bore on major roads, maybe that makes sense. I don't
There are
know.
a lot of different things that can still come up.
Yeah, and I think there's some companies that's like their main, like, focus, like that's what they do. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
Like, this is what they do for a living, is, pavement studies and stuff like that, so. Might be something to think about. Roxy?
Is there a cap or a point at where we have to go out for a RFP?
Is it 10?
Yeah.
Or 15?
250.
Yeah,
$250.
$1,000.
250, and these are both under that, that's
These
why
are like 10,000-ish.
I thought it was 25 for certain projects.
For public contracting.
I thought it was between 25 and 250. Okay, and that we wouldn't have to, okay. So I guess, we are required in that case to do RFPs, but we could, I guess, just call some companies and ask them. Heidi, go ahead.
Yeah, you're gonna wanna think about how much you wanna put into this. So if you wanna go out to the daily commerce and journal, which is where people put a lot of bid items, you're gonna end up spending more money putting this out there than you are what the project costs, right? And so that's why you just call companies and they give you like an estimate or a quote essentially for this type of work. So that's where Kai and I are at. There's not a whole lot of people in this market, so that's also an issue for it as well. So we're gonna get you some more information so you feel more comfortable about what you're getting. But essentially, we do get a lot of complaints about the conditions of the roads, and so this is a starting place for you to have those conversations about how to repair roads and which ones you're gonna pick and why.
Heidi, do you and Kai feel comfortable, instead of an RFP, do you feel comfortable just reaching out to companies?
We have been.
Okay. I think if we continue to do that, especially if there's not much of a market for it, I don't know, maybe it would be better just to contact companies though, so that way we don't have to spend extra money on bids, but that's one thought. It's definitely not what we.
It is not needed by state law at all.
Oh, okay. Not legally required. Roxy?
The pavement management program or report that we have, has that already been done, or are we still considering that?
That's what this is about,
That's,
is whether or not
that's
you wanna go
this.
with that. And then Kai has been working with Civil West, and they have like an alternative to that. And so you'll be able to see what there's, you're gonna essentially be comparing apples and oranges with the goal to get to bananas, right? So
Does anybody really want to get RFPs? Okay, I don't think so. I think you guys can just continue on, unless, council makes differently, continue on and try and find a company, and then you can kind of present what our options are as far as, you know, getting some sort of road management plan.
Right.
It's a starting point. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. All right. Up next, so dedication of community development grant funds for city logo contest award. Me and Lucy and Liz, met a couple times, well, and Kay and TK, Ashton, a couple people, to try and, work through this logo contest. I had the idea of, you know, we had discussed it in the past, and I thought, like, why don't we just open it up to the community and they can submit city logos? And, I think the main, we could for sure have a discussion on the rules or, you know, the specifics, but the main thing is just voting to dedicate one of our community grant slots to the winner of the grant contest. I thought it would be nice to have a, you know, an award. Jim?
Yeah, that was gonna, excuse me, be one of my questions is, we're taking one of the $500 community grant development grants that we give out quarterly and putting it here, is that correct?
Yes, but sometimes we do have money left over at the end of the quarter four. So we, I mean, depends on who applies, but we could still have the full amounts, but
Stacy and I looked this afternoon, and there's, about $2,000, $2,100, maybe $1,900. Anyways, for downtown projects that we put into the budget for things for the council to do. So you also can use this if you would think it would be a better spot.
That way
So
we
that
wouldn't
you
be
can
taking away.
continue to do the full, all community grants.
Okay. And the past, what has that fund been used for? Is that a new fund?
It's not a fund, it would just be a line.
Oh, a budget, okay.
It's just a budget item.
Okay.
But it was put there for the council to have a little discretionary money throughout the year to be able to use.
Okay. Does anybody have any feedback on the rules? We tried. But I think Tyler helped to make sure that legally it said. Jim?
I just would like to say, we've been kicking this around for over 3 years. It's nice that we're just gonna finally get something done. I'm sorry, my memory isn't working quite right. Is there an end date on this, like boom?
January 10th.
January 10th.
I don't know if it's listed on here, but that was my
Yeah.
yes, submission deadline, January 10th. And then we wanted like a month because people get sworn in January 21. So I wasn't gonna do it that council meeting, so that we were gonna announce the winner of the regular February meeting. So the contest announcement, it would start tomorrow if you guys are okay with this. And then it would close January 10th. I figured we would give people a winter break. I'm hoping we get some submissions from, you know, students and things. That would give them a chance over winter break to get some submissions. If this is approved, I plan to take these rules to our teacher tomorrow. So, Ian, go ahead.
Pardon me? Is there a possibility that we could offer it to be $300 for the first place, 150 for second, 50 for third? Is that something that we're
Yeah, we
interested in doing too?
We can do that too.
What are we doing with second place, though? Are we gonna use their logo, or
No, it's just an
giving
incentive,
them an award or something?
to get more applicants.
Well, though, if we use that, the money from that one fund, we don't necessarily have to constrain it to like 500. We could still have 500 be first place and then 250 second, 150 third, if we're coming out of that, budget line. What's the right term for that? I think you just brought it. The line item.
Yeah, just kind of the community development line.
Community development line, that's 1900.
No, but there's several things that go into the line. One is the community grants, one is if the city sells anything, the revenue from it, then goes into that line. And then there's a little bit of money for the council to have some money. Remember when you wanted to do downtown projects during the budget stuff? So that was what this is geared toward.
So there's some money
way back
used
in
for that,
March.
but we could still have, I guess, first place 500, because I'm trying to think, because like, for a kid, obviously, you know, whatever you said, 350, that's gonna be a lot. But for like a professional artist, like, it might not be as much, so I mean, I don't know, maybe 500 is not enough for them either, but, you know, might be a little bit better. But I'm just trying to like, still like, get, you know, submissions from younger and older, and maybe even professionals, but they may just wanna do it out of the kindness of their heart and not be as concerned about the cash prize, because obviously, you know, a commission would be a lot more than that if they were to do it for, you know, somebody privately. Jim?
I move to dedicate $900 from the Sheridan Community Development Grant line for the Sheridan City logo contest, with the awards being 500 for first place, 300 for second place, and 100 for third place, for a total of $900.
Okay, first?
Second.
Okay, first and second. Any other discussion on that?
I can't tell if Liz had her hand up for a question or for support of the motion.
No, she's not saying anything. Okay. Any discussion on that? I don't see that. Say no, okay. All right, we can go ahead and vote. Any other? All right, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Okay, great. Well, we'll start working on getting a new logo. All right. Agenda's over here. Okay. Okay. Next, discussion, on the ARPA spending. It does say discussion and vote. We do technically have until December 31st, so if we feel we don't want to vote tonight, we still have 2 more meetings, but, you know, sooner the better. So we have a spreadsheet here with some updated values. I'd just like to say I would love the Hebert Plaza to be completed, but I would also like the part on Bridge Street as like the starting point to us to start to fix the roads. I'm not sure. It's the part in front of American Market and the drugstore, and it goes 900 feet down toward North Bridge. So I believe it would cover in front of the food bank and then maybe even to that intersection. I don't know how far.
Yeah, it'd be pretty close, yeah, and then again, 50 to that, at Sherman and Bridge.
It's
north.
because I drive Bridge a lot, but Bridge is one of our major roads and a road we own. We don't own Maine, so we aren't responsible for that. We're bugging out about that one, but Bridge, that first, you turn onto that road, and that it's just real rough right there. And with all the traffic, the gas station, and the food bank, you don't get. It's just not. It's not good. But I believe in the work of basically we would basically get tore down and then start over instead of like patching.
Correct.
So
The 2 options were, one was curb to curb and one was both traffic lanes. So it'd be your south and northbound traffic lane, leaving the parking areas as consistent.
I'd like to do curb to curb and just the whole thing, but you know, if it's gonna be a little bit less expensive, it's something we wanna do.
It might have some ADA cost involved in that as well. I don't have estimates for that.
But this is one of the many options we have here. Is there anything on here anybody doesn't want to go forward? I mean, I think really what we're looking at is like big money items here. There's a couple smaller things we can, you know, might be able to just incorporate from our city budget, like the park plan or something, but,
Make sure they're using a new copy.
yeah, does everybody have the new one? It's kind of highlighted with pink, a couple spots.
Gotcha, guys.
We do have updated, info on the Hebert Plaza. Okay, I think Jim and Ian had their hands up,
And we do have a presenter.
oh, yeah, okay, so I'll go ahead and hear from Ian and then, Jim, and then I'll let, Ernie talk for a minute. Ian, go ahead.
I'd like to hear from Kai for the nature of the repairs needed on Evans Street and any other critical repairs needed to our water system, at some point during this discussion.
And along with what he just said, I, again, trust in my memory, which is always a challenge. But regardless, I remember even though this money, we originally had it all set for Sheridan Road, we did discuss water and sewer on Sheridan Road, and I don't even see that on this list.
Right, I can't remember if we discussed it in council or not, but I believe the thought was to get, business organ, funds, and basically grant funds to do that. That is a, you know, a good idea, but my thought was that if there's grant funds for water and sewer, which sounds like grant funds are more, readily available for those than.
So my memory was half working then, right? I remember the discussion, just not where the money was coming from, so.
Okay, all right, anybody else before I have Ernie speak? Okay, all right, Ernie, go ahead and, you share, what you have to say.
Kim, just really quickly, Ernie is gonna be reviewing or referring to the packet of information that's in front of you.
This
It was
little last
emailed
one?
out, yes, it was emailed out earlier, it's the same packet of stuff.
Do you-
We did print it for
Do
you.
you need one?
Should have it here.
Um,
You passed it
the
out at the beginning
first-
of the meeting, didn't you?
Yeah, the first page, yes, the first page is the Hebert Plaza deck replacement and grant drawing engineer. The page following is the estimated costs with that. You'll notice number 7 is highlighted in yellow though, because Ernie's gonna talk about the railing. There's not a cost in there yet. The next page is the Morgan Street parking lot and how that would look. The following page is how much the Morgan Street parking lot would cost, which is pretty eye-opening. And then the last page is Ernie's work. It doesn't have his name on it, I'm realizing, but this is the last front to back page is Ernie's. So Ernie has been graciously volunteering for the city of Sheridan in a great capacity. He has worked now, volunteered for, well, I think a couple of years, running a group of other volunteers called the River, I think they're called like the Riverfront Group. And they are people who love and hope to restore the downtown and to see the plaza in a beautiful state. And they've spent a lot of time on this, and I think we should all be really grateful for all the time that Ernie and the group members have put toward this project. So I asked Ernie if he could speak tonight to help the council to understand all of the work that this group has done. And I see Councilor Buckles has his hand up, but
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to mention that Ernie has helped use the Hebert Trust to put the clock and the light back up in the plaza, which is a definite plus for the city, and I think we should all be very grateful for him doing that. That was my only point. That is really nice.
Yeah, it looks great. I drove by it and I looked at the clock and was like, oh.
Yeah, you
exactly.
know what time it was.
Yeah.
That's.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Ernie.
You shouldn't have had to set the clock back either.
Yeah, I think it was correct, yeah.
It better be. Yeah, Heidi asked me to, I just got this information from Civil West today, and they had some estimates in it. Heidi, does everybody have that?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
and they have your
And
print
this-
too.
Okay. So, we broke it down into the following categories. One was, and I'll just refer to it as foundation renovation, and that was the cost of $186,416. And that is, in a nutshell, part of the project where they would take the posts out along the south wall of the 106 building and replace that with a concrete retaining wall, which would also include a sidewalk on the top of it. That would be part of the walkway from Morgan Street to the Chester Moore Park on the other side of the bridge. From there, then we could go about rebuilding that far end that's closest to the 106 building. And and we would need to do that before we could do anything with the decking. About 2 years ago, we looked at the decking and laser measured it, and we found that the northwest corners of that pavilion have deflected about almost 6 inches because the 106 building foundation hadn't been maintained, and it's allowing, during high water events, dirt to slowly shift and make its way down toward the river from that 106 wall. So at one point I did have potential for having the decking donated, but the stipulation was that the foundation would have to be stabilized. The donor didn't want to spend a lot of money on something that might end up in the river, as he put it. So that's kind of where it's been sitting for the last couple of years. So he kind of said, well, Wes, Tim, he kind of broke this out like, what would it take to get the decking completed and the railing and that sort of thing. So this 186,416 would go a long way into getting that prepared for the next step. And there's another bid, or not a bid, but estimate in there for $134,431. And that is for actually replacing all of the wood decking and getting rid of the old decking. I haven't had a chance to talk to Tim on that one, but I'm guessing that 3x12s are no longer code for a 10-foot span because he's got 4x12s in there now. And you can see it's about 3,000 square feet there. He didn't do anything on the railing because he was under the impression that we wanted to have the same railing that we got on the bridge deck, and that wasn't the case. So the railing on the pavilion will be something not near as robust as the bridge railing. So I can work with him on what that additional cost would be. In addition, it's going to wrap around a little bit where that west wall is, so that you can see upstream ways. And then the west wall will be, because it's sitting on top of the old dam, would have to come down. And we would redesign that to be only about a 6-foot wall with the upper 2 feet in like an acrylic, so that you could see back into the back of the lot. But it would still act as a windbreak, which is what it was designed to do. If there's functions up there, like during the summertime, and they get sea breezes and that sort of thing. So those are a couple of the items that I would need to talk to them about that. There was another part of the parking lot bid. Parking lot bid was pretty expensive, you may have noticed, $425,458. But that not only is for the parking area back there, but it's also for Morgan Street development. That would go hand in hand with the parking lot. So that's kind of its own project. And that was based on the potential of having some lot line adjustments done for the east end of the lot to increase the parking capacity there. And that's something I'm still working with some of the people that hold those businesses there.
Ernie,
He did separate, yes, go ahead.
could you go back, so you're talking about the parking lot bid, 400 some thousand, but you said it also included what else besides
Morgan Street.
that? The like Morgan Street, like that, the sidewalk that we've discussed, or is that different?
Well, the street itself.
Okay.
So, the street is gravel right now.
Oh,
The Oddfellows, yeah, the Oddfellows lot there, it has a concrete sidewalk by it, but that's about the only improvement on Morgan Street. So this would improve Morgan Street back to the, well, right to where the bank is. Because off of Morgan Street, then there would be 1, 2, 3 inlets into the parking lot area. So you pretty much have to deal with Morgan Street and during the parking lot, so that's a combined item.
I gotcha, okay.
For that, that's why it's more expensive. And the parking lot itself, you know, it's not something where you can just kind of go in and pave over it. They'll probably be removing, I'm guessing, 6 to 12 inch of material off of there, so there's gonna be a lot of excavating to then put new underlayment rock and compact that before they ever pave it, so that kind of drives up the expense on that. There's a separate one in there that he listed for like $600-700, and that was for the ramp off the back of the pavilion, which is what it was originally designed for. The pavilion has brick and wood on it. The brick would just simply be any grouting repaired, then sealing it. The brick was designed to be a walkway from the back parking lot to Bridge Street. That's why it kind of fans out when it gets towards the bridge. So people going, you know, across the bridge or uptown or across the street. And the way it was framed in the back, it was temporary boards put on there until that ramp could be installed. Those boards are still there. They're 35 years old now, but anyway, that's the intent. So that pathway or that ramp would lead to a sidewalk, which would go down the length to Morgan Street eventually. Along, it would be the boundary, the north boundary of the parking lot. So some of these things can be done, you know, all at once or in different stages, and some depend on other things being done at the same time. And now that I can see his breakdown and how he's done this, if you're not in a big rush to vote on this, I could sit down with him and try to figure out if this was going to be phased, you know, what would be included in what phase. You don't want to be putting something in it and then having to go back and tear that out to get another phase completed, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what that looks like. There's a lot of other items that I have on that capital improvement plan that are blank. Those are things that haven't been included as well. And we haven't really looked at a lot of funding options for the different things. There are different things available, but until we get kind of the basic thing that gets the deck going, it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. You just got to kind of know what we have to work with before we can start looking at, you know, additional funding options. And you know, we're looking at different ways of constructing, you know, these different projects. Kind of like the bridge railing, you know, we ended up getting 30% more railing, a nicer railing for almost the same price as the original bid. So, you know, if you kind of work at it, sometimes you can make things work out where you didn't think they would before. So anyway, I'm open to any questions you might have.
Liz, all right, Liz, go ahead.
Liz, you have to unmute yourself.
Right. There you go, Liz.
So Ernie, thank you. My question is, the person that was willing to provide decking, if the concrete work was done first, would they still be able to do that? Would that option still be on the table rather than us spending whatever it was for decking, $400,000 or whatever it was?
Well, I don't know. That was through a contractor that I had helping me. And that fellow was in charge of the philanthropy department at this lumber mill, because it's a special treated deck for that. So I don't know if that offer would still be out there, but that would be one thing that I, of course, would look at, or other options. So I know somebody mentioned, well, how about just, you know, one of the local mills, but that would still need to go through a pressure treatment of a certain kind for decking, for this kind of structural decking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but until, you know, I would know if in fact we could get this foundational work done, that's kind of, you know, it's kind of like a, you know, cart before the horse. So.
Right. Okay, thanks.
I'd be happy to, see what we might be able to work with, and then take it from there. Like I said, I'd like to, maybe before we even get to that, I'm not gonna have Tim's drawings and work out here. Maybe see if we could package these a little differently in case it is something that's gonna have to be staged, so that we're doing it in a sensible fashion, that we'll build on each other project instead of kind of haphazardly type of approach.
Okay, 'cause I'm thinking too, what Heidi maybe, because I'm not sure exactly the rules for the ARPA funds, but I'm thinking too, if even we wanted to, allocate a certain amount, maybe it doesn't cover all three of these, but we could allocate a certain amount and then to see what can be done. That's, I think, an option too. But okay.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Ernie, when you said on that Morgan Street improvements to the bank, are you talking about where the US Bank was, or up to the street where First Federal hits on Mill Street?
Oh,
When you talk Morgan Street.
I'm glad you mentioned it. I ended up with this conversation on the other side of the bridge talking about the bank. The river bank, I should say. So it's just Morgan Street from the intersection of Monroe to the river. So it's just that one block stretch. It's currently gravel. Behind the where you turn right at the Oddfellows building, that little stretch of Morgan Street, because the parking lot then, of course, would be directly to your right. And the on-ramps, or the inlets and outlets, it would make too much sense to do those, because the street and the parking lot separate. It'd be more efficient to do all of that construction at one time versus at two different times. But that is the single biggest item on here.
Did you say it would be a sidewalk on one side and just a curb on the other?
Currently, that's how we have it, because we didn't see a need for the sidewalk on the far side. There's two residences on that side of the street, two driveways. The sidewalk from the Oddfellows would continue down to the sidewalk that would be going up to the pavilion. So somebody wouldn't have to walk through the parking lot, they could just walk down straight up the ramp onto the pavilion and either left or right on Bridge Street. And then there'll also be a landing up by that parking lot, which is separate of the parking lot, where the pathway there will go down the hill and under the pavilion, over to the sidewalk, over by the Select Market. And then the other side of that landing will go down to the, what will be the boat landing on the west end of Morgan Street site.
So for clarification, for me, it would be going to the pavilion, underneath the bridge, to Select Market, and down to the boat ramp?
The boat ramp would be the other direction. That would be going from the landing at the parking lot. So there'll be two pathways. One that'll go left down to the river where the boat ramp used to be, or the boat launch used to be, and the other one going right that would go under the pavilion, under the bridge, and connect Chester Moore Park, where you could also go up the steps. That's why those steps were put in there originally at that level, because that's right where the floodway meets the floodplain, and so you can do more in the floodplain than the floodway.
Thank you.
And we'd like to, I have it on my to-do list to talk to the county, because part of that being under the bridge, they would be involved in. And there's some other issues going down there with the riprap and that sort of stuff they put in that's been scoured out, because that 106 structure tends to create a lot of scouring down there. And so that's something that they'll want to address. And I also want to address the possibility on the uphill side, if there's any way to put from the pavilion to the end of the bridge, any kind of security fencing to keep people from going up underneath the bridge up into cubby up there, camping out and that sort of thing, it would be a deterrent for them.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay. All right, thank you, Ernie.
Okay. My pleasure.
So that's a lot of Jim.
I think it'd be great if we, if it was just a little slower and got more information from Ernie on some of these costs as he offered. I think that's a good idea, rather than start charging ahead without having more figures to work with. And then my question is still, I see that he's got on here, add rock below deck for erosion. But I believe the phrase is rip wrap. Is that the type of rock we were talking about? There's nothing here about that. So the stages would indeed be remove the top decking, get at least the rip wrap down there, and then go from there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be the way to do it. It'd be a lot easier than trying to lug a lot of rock around. So, yeah, with that part of the wood deck off, you can actually just drive a backhoe in there and start, laying rock in it. So it'd be a much easier task with the deck off. So that's why I say certain parts of the project kind of rely on other stuff to make it easier and more cost effective if you just, think it out.
Yep. And I have a question of Matt Higley, if I may. The Rotary originally was gonna pay for the clock, but the Hebert Trust paid for that. How much money does the Rotary still have dedicated toward doing something for the Hebert Plaza, do you know?
We always usually dedicate about $2,000 in that area. I think this year was slated, has already been used, but I think we usually every year have about $2,000.
Yeah, I can answer that. So, Rotary had, and I think Kay explained, she's on our committee, the Riverfront Committee, and I appreciate her work a lot. And it had to do with the Rotary had, it was getting to be like a crunch time timeline thing, and they had $4,000 that they wanted to buy the picnic tables that will be going behind the pavilion on the upper, there'll be an upper park area out there where those trees are back behind the pavilion. So there'll be a sidewalk that'll come off the ramp going right by that. And there was also in the original restroom facility there. And then, so we got these, I was able to get 4, they're commercial grade picnic tables. They're pretty sturdy, pretty nice. And I got them before the end of the year, in case that we needed to, use it or lose it type of a thing. And I got a special on it, $500 off the table. So we got those ordered. They're still wrapped up in safekeeping in the back of Lucy's warehouse until we can get that part. After the deck, we wanted to immediately do that part next, which just kind of ties into the pathway that goes under the pavilion. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, and we appreciate that a lot, so. It just isn't, you seem to be appreciated yet.
Okay,
I do appreciate Ernie so much, and I do appreciate the idea of him working with Tim. I just want to stress to the council that you really don't have much time, because after you do this, then Kai and I have to work very quickly to essentially find contractors to dedicate this money to. And that all has to be done before the end of December, and contractors kind of take some breaks in there too. So I hear what you're saying, I hear what Ernie's saying. I don't know if I can stress enough that the council does have to move quickly.
Yeah, I'm available this week. Is that quick enough?
Yes.
All right, yeah, Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to, as far as Ernie's thing is concerned, I'd like to see more about what these things are, because it says here, an 8-foot metal bench. Benches on the deck is specified. And I know that we live in a prison town, but metal benches don't sound that great to me, so I'd like to see that, I mean, what is the cost for these metal benches? Like, why are we choosing those? I mean, and like she said, the time is short, so, if you want me to vote to dedicate this money to this, I mean, you gotta convince me that we need metal benches, so.
May I?
Well, I can answer maybe that. Originally, the benches that were in, that were built-in benches,
I
they were
didn't mean
wood
right
benches.
now. I didn't mean right now.
Oh,
Just, yeah.
okay.
How you go?
I think in general, we know we can spend money on the plaza, whether it's a wooden bench or a bench made out of metal or whatever it is. And so the council needs to be able to kind of lift out of the details at this point and just put some money toward things. So, I imagine we can spend $2 million, you know, whatever, right, on the plaza. So we could keep going and keep going, you know, amphitheaters, all kinds of stuff, right? So what I'm looking for is I'm really looking for consensus about projects. So right now, even ask yourself if the Hebert Plaza is one that you want Ernie and Tim to spend more time on, or if you don't, right? So we really need to push forward. I'm sure there's things on this list that can be eliminated right away. So let's work on that.
Kai, let's hear from you about Evans Street, because that could just wipe us out.
Yeah, so I think Evans is 1.3 million, it's about what the ARPA funds are. Thank you for bringing that up, you remember from last time, I appreciate that. I've taken another look at the Ballston pump station, you know, I've only been back a little over a month, and that pump station has never functioned as it was designed, we talked about that last time. Some of the pump tests I've done in the past, I don't think put enough stress on the system to activate the large pumps out there. So I think that what we were doing before to see how it would affect hydrant flows was not enough. We only had one hydrant flow, one hydrant meter. I think we should probably attempt 3 or 4 and simulate a 4 or 5 alarm fire and then see what that pump station does. And I think the results will be drastically different than one hydrant. Also, since it's not functioning as it was designed, there was a conversation about mitigating that risk. And that should be something that the city should deeply consider. Because as it was designed and stamped by an engineer, it has never functioned in that way. So our current, basically SOP, standard operating procedure for that is the fire department calls public works and we go out and physically turn those on. And we've been doing that for, I don't know, 7 to 10 years, somewhere in there. But what if the fire department doesn't call? Or what if public works doesn't pick up their phone? Those are the questions that we've started asking ourselves recently. Because we've never actually had the money to throw at Ballston, so we just ran it as is. But I think to mitigate any risk for the city, Ballston should be considered seriously for the ARPA funding. And as far as Evans, I have a plan for that. We're gonna preemptively start replacing all the saddles and services on Evans. So Public Works will do all the easy ones, starting next summer. When we have good weather, we'll do them live so that we know boil water tests. We'll try and do 2 a month, 2 to 4 a month. And then we may have to have some contractors help us out with some of those, but I think we can do the bulk of them internally. And so we won't have these 1 o'clock breaks anymore, 1 a.m. breaks. Mostly it's the saddles or service lines that are basically rotted, you know, they're just timed out, they're aged out. So we'll go in there and put good stainless steel full circle bands on for that AC type pipe. It's difficult to get most of our saddles to fit, but they do make some. We have some ordered, and I think as those get in, we'll start to work on Evans and upgrading that, so we don't have to do boil water notices. We don't have to have disruption for customers' service.
Can we, would dedicating some of these funds to that be advantageous to get it jump started next summer, or like, is there would it be like, hey, 50 grand is gonna get this project going, or is it, that's not really gonna matter?
we would require ARPA.
Okay, who's first?
Well, as long as we're on Evans Street, what about the street? I mean, is it falling away, coming apart, too?
Evans is, you know, as they say, it's a hard nut to crack because it's a substandard street. So there's no sidewalks, there's not much for storm on it, and those are expensive items. What I would suggest to council is that we get that street study done and we start tackling that in an order that makes sense. There's never gonna be enough money in streets, this is not. So I think the best thing for the city is to get that pavement study done and stick to it, and that's gonna be the difficult part. The council's gonna have some hard decisions. All cities do these studies all the time, they hardly ever stick with them. So you will have to make those decisions in the future, but I would say Evans is, it is what it is, it's the same. You know, I can't fix it for less than like $3 million.
Well, I guess if we get the water started.
Yeah, we'll start that.
Step one. That phase.
Okay, Jim and then Liz. Okay, and then you.
As a proponent of making things better for Sheridan, the Hebert Memorial Plaza, obviously, if we get that fixed up and looking the way it should, would improve the city immensely. But at the same time, if our infrastructure is falling apart, I don't see how we can, you know, go for a, I don't want to call it recreational, but it is a recreation type thing versus infrastructure, because as Kai just pointed out, if there's a 5-alarm fire and that pump doesn't work, well, a lot of people are going to be sorry. And if Evans Street falls apart, or even the water up there starts to go, and we need boil water all the time because we can't get it fixed right away, that's also very important. So I'm a big supporter of getting the Memorial Plaza back up to what it used to be. I just don't know how we find all that money. That's all I got to say.
All right, Liz.
I don't see the street study plan or whatever it's called on this list of ARPA money options.
No, it's not. It's not on there. It's like $5 grand, maybe. Yeah. We're still getting some bids.
Uh,
It's a small amount.
Yeah, 65.
Okay, all right. And then, how are we gonna go about, ranking these? Just hand these sheets to Yvonne and let her go with it, or how are we doing that?
Yeah, I mean, there is a column, your ranking, but I think
Yeah.
we can discuss and see if there's some that we can remove, and then maybe there's less items to rank, so it might be a little easier, but, cause like Heidi said, we are kind of, you know, getting close to the deadline here, but,
Well, I agree with, I think Jim just said it, I think we need to look at the infrastructure first and take care of those. And then there's one on here for emergency repair needed at the sewer lift station. If it's an emergency repair, I think we need to consider that as well.
Can I say something? Sorry. I also am a big proponent of infrastructure, and I have the way that you do ARPA and the way that you account for it, it is best if it's just kind of big projects, because there is quite a bit of accounting that goes with it too. So I'd also like to deter the council from picking too many smaller items.
Okay.
As well. So yes, keep going. Sorry.
all right,
Keep
Ian,
that in mind.
Ian, you still have something?
I'd like to see, I think infrastructure is absolutely, we have to have water, people have to have it. It's what separates us from, you know, savages, so. I think that, for me, I'd be on board with ensuring that the Boston Reservoir is running as intended. It's a fact, this is a source of water that we need to have, I think. I'm gonna probably advocate for the sewer lift station as well. And I am concerned about damage that's been done to some things in the past, is for what I understand, maintenance, but maintenance, but, I'd like to see the sewer lift station done, and then from there, I agree, I think the Hebert Memorial Plaza is a good place to spend our money. It's downtown, it's a good place to show that we're trying to do something here, and attract people.
And if we get like the projects we want, I can do some, well, I can try and do some math and we can pull in like, cause you know, there's a couple items on here like, where was it? Oh, like the SCADA systems, it says, you know, budgeted over fiscal year. So it's like part of our budget is dedicated to that. So it's almost like we can use some of our funds that we already have and then some ARPA funds. We don't have to, you know, spend ARPA on the full thing. We could use some ARPA, some, you know, budgeted funds that we already have. And that could kind of stretch our ARPA money a little bit. But yeah, I think, so Ian, the one you talked about, the sewer lift station, is that the emergency repair sewer lift station
Yes.
one or the SCADA sewer plant? I'm guessing it's the lift station one.
Lift station.
The emergency repair.
Okay, gotcha.
There's the emergency.
Okay.
One of the things that I'd like the council to think about too is the Morgan Street Park. You know, that is quite a bit of money, that 425 of the parking lot, so perhaps that comes later, but that's also an engineer's estimate, and we have a local company that I think we should get a hold of in the next, before the next meeting, to give them this information and see what they would do. Yeah,
Cause I thought, yeah, that's something I thought of is that
when I saw that,
if we don't do the parking lot part, we can,
do the rest.
yeah, and you know, I don't know, we could maybe even do, I don't know, half, like not the street, but do, I don't know, 15 spots, I don't know, just like go slow, but I don't know, it's probably cheaper to do the whole thing all at once than piece it together. Jim?
Haven't we already decided on the ADA sidewalks downtown? I mean, it says already happening. I thought we kind of covered that.
Yeah, I believe, yeah, that's, so that can, we discussed it being able to come out of the ARPA fund, and that's totally doable, but it can also come out of our street fund because we have the funds for that, but, so it's kind of, I mean, you know, if we don't use the street fund on that project, maybe we could use those funds on a different street project. So, but the funds are there from the street fund to do that, but we could also use those street funds. Thank you. Maybe on Bridge Street. Instead of ARPA on Bridge Street, but it's off. Charlie, you've suggested things before, and how we can narrow down a list. Do you think we should talk about what we don't want? Just to make the list shorter.
What? I'm gonna bring my hand here.
Okay, Liz.
Oh, you muted yourself.
You muted yourself.
You were unmuted, and now you muted.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go.
I suggest that we all give our top 5, because things are gonna fall out. I mean, I think a lot of us have the same priorities, and if we just give our top 5 ranking, we're gonna get an idea. And because there's a lot of things on here that would be nice, but they're not necessary. Absolutely necessary. So rather than, it's gonna take a lot of time to say, well, let's not do, to eliminate things is what I'm trying to say. So if we just, everybody says what their top 5 ranking is, then we might get an idea of what the priorities are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then we can see if funding wise, if there's some sort of consensus, then funding, we can see about adding one or two. I mean, I don't know, I mean, this is a work session topic. Do we want to talk about our top 5 right now, or do we want more time to think about it? Jim?
I think we don't have the time.
What she just said, I think we're kind of up against it. If we wait till our next regular meeting, we've got just slightly over a month before everything has to be dedicated. And you still have to do the work to get it dedicated. Yeah, I think we're
Okay, well,
kind of up against it.
well, I'll,
I'm ready to do it.
Me too.
well, we could just all go through and our top 5. Okay. Ian, do you have something first?
Yes, the SCADA,
SCADA systems.
the Ballston Reservoir device, it ties into the SCADA system, correct?
Could,
It
we
could,
do not have a SCADA system.
but we don't have a SCADA system.
Correct.
Okay,
We don't have any, SCADA system, any electronic stuff.
and that electronic thing is tied into O and P on here? Which
O
is
and P. You can do
water
them
plant,
all
sewer
separately.
plant. But then, is that what the SCADA system is in that 300,000 that we already have budgeted for the next, over the next 2 years?
It was last year and this year, and
Okay.
we have $300,000 already from saving up.
Yep.
And so. I don't know.
Is the SCADA system included in that one, in that money?
No, those are all separate. So 350 for Ballston, 300 for SCADA, 150 for
Right.
sewer.
I'm aware of that. I'm asking, this is for the SCADA system to be installed for the water plant, and that will be,
And connecting
And
Ballston
connecting.
as to the SCADA.
Got it.
Yes.
okay.
So Ian, so like that 350,000 for the Boston, are you asking, does that include the SCADA system, or is that just like, okay?
Nope, I'm
I
talking
think-
about the water plant and sewer plant SCADA systems that are listed here for 300,000 and 150,000. I was just asking, are these going to be, are they done once these monies are spent?
If I am
They're ready to go.
interpreting, you're asking the locations for the SCADA system, which would be the water plant and the Ballston
Right.
Reservoir. Like, which ones would be, and which plants would be SCADA, would be on those systems, or which areas?
I think Ian's asking whether that's the entire project cost, or is that a portion of the project cost?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's the entire.
Got it.
Well, I can say what my 5 are. We can go around, I guess. I don't know, Yvonne, are you ready?
I'm ready. If you can do it by the alphabet, that would be helpful.
Ian, do you have something first?
My point in saying all that is that we don't necessarily have to award these numbers here.
Right.
Right.
With what we're doing right now.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking, is if we get kind of like our 5, they're like, okay, how much money do we want to allot? And then are we gonna have extra
Okay, thank you.
lot? Okay, so ABC, LM.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
I think Liz was ready. She's
Okay, Liz, you go
been
next.
chomping at the bit on there.
I'll be right back.
So 1M, 2P, 3O, 4L, 5A.
Okay.
Can you do the top 5?
Sure. A, B, C, E, and N.
N, as in,
E is in Edward.
No, N.
It would be.
Oh, E, yes, is in
Okay.
Edward, yes.
Perfect.
N is in Nedward.
Nedward.
Oh, boy.
Your top 5?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to.
Okay, I think Ian's ready.
Oh, Ian's ready.
A, B, G, L, and N.
L,
L,
M or N?
N like Nancy? Or M like Mary?
Alpha,
M is in
Bravo,
Nancy.
Golf, Lima, Mike.
Mike.
Okay.
Big cross.
Are we doing 5, or are we doing just up to the dollar amount?
5.
Okay. L is number 1. O is number 2. P is number 3. N is number 4. And M is number 5.
Well, you stayed all in the same area for me. That was easy. I'm ready for you, Jim.
Okay, these, are we supposed to actually rank these, or are we just picking the letters?
That's just the letters.
Thank you, I don't have them ranked. Okay, I've got A, B, L, O, and P. And just doing my math, it's 1.16 million, which is right under the 1.
I don't mind that 1.2.
little Lucy.
Well, I'll do A, B, C, and L. And the total is 1.3.
Don't worry about the total,
Okay.
just tell us.
Because there's compromises, and then I guess I would say maybe, I don't know, I think I might go E also. Yeah, if there's any run over, we can always,
Okay, so your clear front runners are A, B, and L. With your second, or your fourth place being M like Mary. And then you have 3 tied for third, which is C, O, and P. So not too bad.
Okay, so somebody will have to do math.
I didn't get it written down. Did you say those again? Yvonne?
Okay, so your first place ones are A and B. Your second place is L like Lima. Or your third place, actually.
Yeah.
And then, you've got M like Mary. And then you have 3 that have 3, which is C, O, and P.
Okay, all right, Ian.
Point of procedure that the mayor's position does not get votes, just, like in what we do with the funds. So
Does it?
we should probably ensure that we're following the rules.
Is it, I think it's just for official votes, I don't think consensus counts, but I can, yeah, we can remove mine if that makes everybody feel better. Does anybody else want my votes removed?
Tyler, will you weigh in on that?
I don't think this is taking a formal vote. I think we're just trying to get the package that's gonna be voted on.
This essentially gives Kai and I the ability to go back and make sure that the engineers are firm in these estimates, and to help you to get to the 1.3 for your next meeting, and that will appear on an agenda.
When the vote happens to, vote on the spending, I would vote on that part, but this is, I think, just, if you're fine with that, just getting the consensus on what we want,
I
but.
don't think it would change the top 4 order.
Right.
Also, we talked about not, just because we vote for A and B, not necessarily to fund the full amount, we can go back and consider A and B and L and M and all the other ones that were within the top 5, and then go back and look at the dollar amount too.
Yeah, I was gonna do math.
Remember, B doesn't include the railing and other stuff too, so we need to work with Ernie on that. So there's quite a bit, I know everybody's anxious to get to the number and the math, but there's quite a bit of pieces here floating around.
Again, I was just gonna ask, are there any, objections from the council if we just take out of discussion any of the line items that didn't get votes? Just to narrow down. I'm just trying to be pushy.
Other than if there's some that's a smaller amount, we come with the dollar amount, we can maybe fit in a lower cost option that would still make the list.
I'm just trying to help you guys get to,
Eliminate?
just to get to a decision.
Ian, did you start your? Okay.
I was just gonna say, we'll just put together a couple packages for people, essentially, for the next meeting, so.
Well, I will say, so unless I'm wrong, the SCADA for water is that the total cost will be 300,000. And we budgeted 300,000, so we need another 300,000? Okay, so it's just 300,000. I know Ian asked about this earlier, but now I was confused too. So it's like budgeted, we have 300,000 budgeted for it, and it costs 300,000.
Yes.
So okay.
It's a really good way, this is a big item project, and this $300,000 comes out of customer bills. So this it doesn't, I don't know what the net impact is at this point, but anything that you can take off of the customer bills is gotta be helpful.
Other money to spend somewhere else.
Well, we've got a lot of things to save for. So
Mayor,
there's that too.
your top four, you're at 710,431 for the top four. So that might be helpful for figuring out.
Except for, remember that there's certain things not included in A or B.
Right.
So we have more work to do.
So is what's not B in C?
Huh?
What's not in B, is it in C?
No.
It just doesn't have a dollar amount to it at all yet.
B has a dollar amount so far.
No,
of
B sort of doesn't
134.
have everything.
It doesn't. It doesn't have like the railing and all the amenities that Ernie was talking about.
And that wasn't included in C.
B.
No, C.
They're separate.
Was it, well, I was gonna try to think through this, but it was just easier to ask her.
Jim, under what she was talking about for B, reading in the pink here, we're looking at potentially maybe $200,000 versus 134, was that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I wanna get hammered
That's
in.
what the difference is.
That's what Ernie is talking about. He wants to meet this week with Tim, the engineer.
Lucy?
But then too, if you were to do C, you could shave off 200,000 per se.
No, they're separate.
No, but I meant when I look at the detailed list of it, it was things
Look at
that,
what I passed out, the 2 pages, the
Yes.
Hebert stuff is like 750,000.
yes.
So for the parking lot and all the pieces to the plaza,
On the parking lot though, it says it's 50,000's been budgeted, right?
yes,
So it's 375,000 technically, if we just look at ARPA.
yes,
I guess we don't have to think about money amounts right now, no, we just need a list.
yes.
Okay.
And I have the direction we need.
Right, all right, Ian.
I'll just say this about the parking lot. We're talking about a piece of land to put your car on temporarily. And right now, we have literally that. So I would like to see these funds distributed towards people being able to get clean water. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and I think technically we can't have a gravel parking lot, but that'd be fine with me.
I want to pay parking lot too, with all the amenities, but right now it works as intended.
Yeah,
So
It's grass currently.
but we can put gravel on it probably for less than 400,000. No, we don't.
Let's
What happens if we just park on grass then?
try, you'll get a code violation.
Will the city pay for it?
We have been working on that. Kinda have the direction we need.
Okay, so are we okay with this list? Everybody?
There's plenty here.
Okay, is that, okay, all right, Jim?
So you say you got the direction you need, so at the next meeting, we will have a couple of lists to choose from, and from there, we'll get it decided, and you'll be able to get it done before 31st.
That's the goal.
I hope.
I'm very excited.
I
We
would.
made it this far.
I would maybe suggest maybe we get an emailed list within a week.
We can do what we can do. We
Okay.
do have contractors we have to work with, so
Right.
keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I'm just
Mercy
thinking,
and the engineers too.
I'm just
so
thinking we gotta
That's why I
list, you
said
know.
we need to make some decisions tonight.
gotcha, okay, well, we've got, I think, a list, right?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of stuff we left off, but it's a little lesser, so we didn't do Bridge Street, but maybe we can do that with
A different way.
street funds in the future. Yeah. Okay,
So what I'm hearing is the entire council wants the whole list.
well, yeah. Oh, yeah, we can. Well, we'll look for other ways. Okay. All right, well, that was good. I think we got what I need.
Yes.
Okay, so unless there's any other Okay.
off one out there.
Hi, Joe Spinelli, West Valley Transparency. So, something that I've been thinking about for like the last several months is that Hebert Memorial Plaza, I do not think it is a city park. It is not owned by the city, is that correct?
It is owned.
Oh, it is owned by the city. Okay. Okay, so my concern was if it wasn't, then ARPA, I would think ARPA would not be good. If it, since it is owned by the city, then that's okay. Thank you. That was my concern.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Mayor, council discussion, if everybody's fine, I'm just gonna go around and call on everybody if I'm fine. Does that happen? We can turn it into discussion, I suppose, but, okay, all right, who wants to go first? Ian, you wanna go? Danny?
No.
Okay, Danny?
Last meeting, I passed out some information on our spending on $86,000 for 2 elaborate vehicles. And so you've had time to digest that and talk to your friends and neighbors, constituents. I just want to know if you think that was a wise spending operation or not, because I don't. I think we really messed up on that. You wanted to work, you don't buy a tricked out truck, and you don't buy a top of the line side by side, 6 passenger with electric windows and all that. So you guys got the figures. I just want to know what people you've talked to, if you have talked to anybody, how they felt about that crazy spending. Because the people I've talked to are very upset. You buy a plain Jane pickup, you don't buy a tricked out pickup. You buy a good side by side, but you don't buy a tricked out side by side. President of the United States drive up and down the beach. So any comment on that?
Jim? Like Denny just said, the people I've talked to are not happy. The reports I've heard are abusive spending funds and but I mean, let's face it, if we had gone much cheaper, we'd have a little more money to discuss when we're talking about trying to build or buy something else. So not pleased with that, those expenditures at all. Sorry.
Right. Any other?
I got more.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So, we spent $22,000 on concrete pads that we didn't know about. So what's happened to me is, I know stuff's in the budget, and that's fine, but I think council needs to okay these wild spendings so we can control this. So it's our essential role to faithfully represent the people of Sheridan in every decision we make. And we've had ample time to consider the discussion over the pickup and the side-by-side. And there's a way to stop this. We need to cut spending limits back to where they were before this all happened. So this stuff is brought to the council. Now, we can take measures to have emergency meetings if something like the sewer pump goes out or water pump. Someone could contact the mayor, and the mayor can get a hold of 3 council members, and we can have an emergency meeting right now. And if you can't get first 3, go to another council member. It used to work. We used to do this. And I don't know why we don't do it now, because this $50,000 spending limit and the $20,000 spending limit is just, there's some things that have happened that just are not good. And I think the council needs to be the body that says, okay, yeah, it's in the budget, and yeah, we need that. Or, yeah, it's in the budget, but we don't need one like that. That's where I'm going with this.
You want that on the next meeting agenda?
Yeah, I do. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we can do that.
I got some more of that. This is just something to pass around for next meeting, some information. I'll just give those to you, pass it around.
Oh, sorry. Here. Okay, anything else on that?
guess we've been asking for volunteers to help put up the fence at the dog park. I'm not quite understanding that. Number one, most of the folks that I know that can volunteer, they're probably younger than me, but not much. We, the city, put up the fence for the community garden. They put in power, water, Public Works did that. So I don't know why Public Works can't go and set this fence up. And they don't have to do it all at once. They could do 3 posts a day or 2 posts a week, or just when they got some spare time, go start setting the posts, and they know how to do it. Because they're got to be surveyed in the post. So.
Would you rather have, Public Works do it, or are you thinking maybe even should we look at a fence company to do it?
That, if we have it in the budget, the Public Works could have the time, like I said, sometimes they got a little spare time, they're waiting on parts or whatever to fix something.
Okay.
I said they don't have to do it all in one day. They've got 86 posts, I believe, and they can just do a couple posts a day or 3 posts a week, or until they got some free time to get in there and really go. Because I got a feeling that the folks that are gonna be able to volunteer aren't gonna be able to do that kind of work.
I'm not too familiar with fences, but I know, I guess chain link might be a little different, but with the poster and maybe the rest of it might not be as difficult, maybe the posters, I don't know. But I'm not 100% sure on that, I've never done one, so. Okay, Jim, hold on 1 second. Danny, do you have anything else?
That'll do it for now.
Okay, all right, Jim.
I was gonna piggyback on what you said, tonight, my wife's on a lot of committees, and, she's on the dog park committee, and she was, I think the right word might be aghast at the thought of, people on that committee out there trying to cement posts, 85 posts into the ground and then put a fence around it. And I told her that I wouldn't do it because I can't, I don't have the knowledge. I really think that, since, as Denny mentioned, we put up a fence for the, community garden, and also, we quickly moved a fence in the city park over to the, horseshoe pit, that the city obviously has the ability and knowledge how to do that fairly quickly. My wife told me that there is absolutely no rush to get this done, that, even if that group tried to do 1 post at a time, there's no guarantee it's gonna come out right. I think we need a little more, knowledge and professionalism to get that done.
Okay, I'm curious, I mean, we could get, an estimate for it, but I don't know, Ian, have you done any fencing like that? Okay, I mean, I don't know how to do fences, but I can dig a hole, I mean, I can help, yeah, I mean.
But can you dig 85 holes? That's probably a good.
Well, at times, no, at times not a factor, then yeah, take a long time. But, I mean, I don't know, I don't know if me and Ian would, I don't know how much we would wanna do or could do, but we could at least help. I don't know if we just said something, but,
I think Liz has her hand up.
okay, well, I'll call on you, Liz, in a second, but I don't know, Ian, I guess we can talk after the meeting.
I
Jim,
got one
some
other
of us-
thing.
Okay,
The fencing is down in front of the Hyder building. As a result, it looks like it's, already being used, even though it's not even done, because the homeless have decided that's a nice place to stay. That's not nice for the building, and that's not nice for Sheridan. I don't know what to do about it, but they are attempting to live in the Hyder building.
have you seen anybody, like, any activity, like, since the fence has been out? Because I've been in there a couple times, and it looks like there have been some people in there. I'm just wondering, I haven't gone in, like, I didn't go in today.
I was gonna say, I have not gone in, and I most certainly wouldn't go in at night when there's much more likely to be homeless in there, but.
I can also, I think it's open for auction, I think, today, tomorrow, and the next day. But I can even ask Kurt and just be like, hey, can I just see if no one's in here?
Sure.
I assume if they're gonna show it to somebody, they're not gonna want people. So,
Exactly,
I-
or a setup, with sleeping bag is ready to go,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, but for sure, there have been people seen going in there that aren't just citizens looking to take a peek at what's going on.
Okay, I'll let Arthur know I can do something.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, anything else, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Liz?
I'm on the dog park committee, and I went with Leisha and Kay to have a meeting with Russ at the Mercantile, and that fencing project is extensive. There's 85 posts. The chain link fence you have to have a special tool to roll it out. There's a metal guide bar at the bottom of it for every, I think it was 6 feet. There's the hardware is extensive. You have to have special tools for the hardware. It would not be a type of project that volunteers could do. But it was also my understanding when Heidi suggested volunteers, it was the week, it was in the time frame of when we wanted to have it done. And Public Works was short or was understaffed. They were short a couple of staff. So now that we're talking about spring, Public Works can help us in the spring put that out, because, you know, we're not gonna do fencing now in the mud and the rain, but at the time we asked about it and we were told to get some volunteers, it was because Public Works was understaffed. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, that was on the Jefferson Park fencing. There is a unhoused person living around on the banks of the river. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but with the rains and the river rising, and I've seen pictures of it online. Someone's posted photographs of this guy. He's got a lot of stuff down there, and if the river rises and that stuff starts floating down the river, it could be a problem.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know.
The sheriff's know her well. I know Angela. She's aware too.
Okay.
And I know they're working on it. Apparently, it's better than it was, but I don't like that it's there at all. But
just a rumor that there are now 5 people having a nice place to stay down there. So they think. Just a rumor. I can't confirm that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. Okay. Ian, Lucy.
I'll hopscotch around a little bit here.
Lucy.
So, first of all, when Denny was saying any complaints on those 2 vehicles, well, yes, and, you know, I'm pretty sure the pickup that was purchased with, I believe, the consent of the council. First of all, I could be wrong, but I think I was the only one that didn't vote for that truck in the first place. So the amenities that were added on is another issue, but you almost gotta blame yourselves for buying the truck in the first place. So leave me out of it. And I think possibly correction can be done, but if we allow it, we need to be accountable for that. And I do understand also that we should be doing what interests our communities. When you talk about the truck and the 4x4, which I didn't vote for the truck, but here you were offered tonight $70,000, and you had people representing the Rotary and the Chamber of Commerce, business people in town that asked you to reconsider. And to the best of my knowledge tonight, you told me that you rejected the offer. So, but now I'm talking. So, you know, you talk about community and caring what the community thinks. Here you have these business owners and these people who join the chamber and join the Rotary in order to help the town. And almost everybody signed that but 3 people, and yet you ignore that completely. So shame on you. There you go. I had to say it out loud. And then I agree with Liz with the dog parks, because you don't want a crappy fence put up, because those cyclone fences are pretty nice. And I think the Public Works more than capable of doing it, but they just been, I knew they were overlogged too, and I didn't even hang out with them. So I think time will happen still in the spring when the ground's soft enough, everybody can kind of get it together. And, you know, let's have somebody do it that really knows what they're doing. And in regards to the Hyder building, I agree with you 100%, because when I went to the police back when the cyclone fencing was up, because they're vandalizing my office, which I have renters in there, the police didn't even take down a paper trail of the fact of what was going on. They just said, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. And they chopped a hole in my roof, and they pulled the siding away from my roofing so that my building leaks. But once again, where is the city when you need them? So when you're kind of complaining, I kind of get it, but I don't get it because you're not consistent in what you're doing. And I'm saying that's what's gotta change, is the people sitting around this table, because you're kind of allowing a lot of things to happen. And then when they don't go the way you want, you try to find an scapegoat to put it on. And I think everybody just needs to calm down a little bit and take it the same way I did when I got absolutely no service from the police. And now if they're in there now, they're really probably vandalizing my office. So $94,000 to correct my roof, by the way. And then, like I said, today you had $70,000 that could have been handed to the city, cash. And you guys just let it go, so I don't understand the complaining, because that right there would have covered any extra expense on those vehicles, and you just passed it away, so. And I'm speaking on behalf of the people too, so there you go, that's all I got to say.
Ian, you next.
Yes, sir. There's a whole, seems like a whole lot of things that you brought up there, Lucy, and some of them very valid. And I appreciate you expressing yourself so passionate for what you believe. However, it seems to me that these issues are not connected. The purchasing of these vehicles and stuff is not, that's not connected to the decisions that were made earlier tonight. At least in my opinion. I'm concerned about the spending limits as well, and the fact that the way that they're listed on there, I'm not clear. It's not clear when on the vouchers and the budget that when this is voted for, that this is going to be the end result. The process is not clear. I don't think that the council would have voted for a brand new truck, or essentially a new truck, with $8,000 of improvements, was it?
That's all I could find.
And so I don't think the council would have voted for that if that would have come up to the council. Do you? I mean, at the time?
It was like, I think it had a few miles on it, but still, I didn't think you needed a brand new vehicle to go up into the mountains with. That was my standing on it. So anything after that has to do with the people who voted for it. So, I mean, I completely separate myself from all of that. The 4x4, I don't ever remember seeing that coming across my desk, but anything that happened after you bought a newer pickup it's not on me, because I didn't vote for it in the first place.
Right.
Kind of an irrelevant thing. If they'd have probably gotten something cheaper, the whole thing might have turned out a whole lot different, but you can't go back now because they already voted to do it. It is what it is.
Well, agreed, but I think moving forward in the future, I think what Denny's point is that there hasn't been the clearing of the space in a way that he would like to see, is what I'm hearing from him. So, and I would tend to agree with him. I don't think that I'm seeing it the way that I would like to see it. I don't know.
Great. Anything else?
Oh, you mean?
Yeah, for you.
Just, I got an email, I'll get with you afterwards, with a citizen who's not quite understanding something about their backflow device.
Sure. Okay. Denny, you wanna go ahead?
Yeah, that truck, I think, had 396 miles on it when all the accessories were put on it. And again, with that kind of money, I don't understand why these vehicles weren't put out for bid. And that little Ford Ranger we bought for $6,000, we had 2 meetings on that before we bought it. So I just, things aren't in balance here at all. That's all I got.
Foxy?
I have an opinion on some of the stuff that I haven't done all my research, so I'm deferring to the next meeting or so to voice my opinions and my concerns.
Okay. Well, I think that was everybody. Anything else? We can go in and adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned. It is 9:03.
So do you mind if the sign says rejected?
I can.
Recording stopped.
We didn't vote, yep.
Yeah.
We didn't vote for the hearing, we just got a force matter.
We need to vote with her.
Yes.
Okay, who wants to leave? Liz left. Okay, all right. Thank you.